Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Check this out, y'all. In part one of Deal with the Devil, I told you about this guy named Jay, right? That got turned out to the game, not about the money, but because of the power, right? And in this episode, I'm going to pick up where I left off talking about, his friend Leroy is wanting to be in the game, right? And he's working Leroy because he laid down the stipulation to Leroy that if you want to be in the game, you got to let me have your wife. Just for sex. He don't want her. He don't care about her. It's not one of those situations where, he's jealous and he wants her to be his. It's not that. This dude is depraved. And he wants what he wants when he wants it how he wants it, right? And so that's the rule. That's the stipulation. That's what Leroy has to agree to. But Leroy's turned him down. So I'm going to pick up right there. And I want you to really suck up this story because it's really insightful about the mindset of some people. And I think it'll help you better understand how sick you have to be and how depraved of a mindset you have to be in this game, right? So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, y'all. So he's giving Leroy an 8 ball. And Leroy went out. I'm talking about he got his bread so fast. He came back and he's all excited. You know what I'm saying? He wants some more. So he pays he pays Jay for the dope. And he tells him, okay, let me get a double up on that, right? So now he wants to move from an 8 ball to a quarter. You know what I'm saying? That's 3.5 to 7, y'all. He wants to move up in the game a little bit, just a little bit, right? He's getting his feet wet. So Jay looks at him. He tells me, he said, yeah, I got you. I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that. And he don't say nothing about the stipulations that he had put on him before. He lays it down and gives it to him. Leroy pays him for the whole thing right then and there, and he hits the block. He's gone. He getting his bread. He's doing what he wants to do. Why? Because Leroy, unlike Jay, Leroy wants to get some money. He's not trying to control people. He's trying to get some money. Don't get me wrong. Both reasons for getting in the game, for me, are wrong. It's nothing wrong with him wanting money, wanting to do better for his family, talking about Leroy. But if it causes you to hurt other people in the way that the dope game does, then evaluate that and then weigh it up. Is it worth it morally? I say no. Some of you may disagree. Let me know. Hit me up in the comment section. But here's the thing. Jay, it's not about money with him. He could care less how much money Leroy comes back with. It's not going to get him because, he has an agenda. He wants to control. He wants to control not only Leroy, but his girl and anybody else that becomes a part of his circle. He has to have total dominance over them. So here's the thing. Leroy comes back. He goes from a quarter to a half, from a half to the whole zip, right? And I'm talking about he does this within like a couple of days. You know what I'm saying? Somebody brand new to the game. Straight out the box. Boom. He hits the block. He's getting his money. No problem, no nothing. Ain't nobody interfering with his hustle. He got him a nice little spot. He's getting his money. And now he's so deep in mentally, he's loving it. He's letting he's letting Jay know that's the wrong person to let know how much you like and appreciate what you're doing. He the wrong person to know that. So now here's how the game gets popped. Jay tells him, look here, you want to keep doing this? I got you. But like I told you before, I want your gal, man. I just want her for sex. I don't care nothing about none of the other stuff. You can still love her. He like, man, look here. If I do that, she ain't gonna love me. I can't even approach that conversation with her. He said, so that's a non-starter. He said, man, even if I broke up with her, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. She not that type of girl. His girlfriend named Rose. You know what I'm saying? A good girl. Good girl. She's in a freshman in college, sophomore in college, I think is what he said at this time. She's not into none of that. She's not into none of that. And Leroy he trying to do all of these things so while she's off at college, he can help her out a little bit. She don't even know he doing this type of stuff. You understand? But he wants to make sure that she's okay while she's there. That she don't have to worry about paying no bills and all of this and that. She can just strictly worry about her studies. He's got the right mindset but the wrong way of going about it because he had to make a deal with the devil. You know what I'm saying? So now, look here, let me tell you what Jay said. It's what Jay tell him. Said, look, she ain't got to know. Now think about that, y'all. How you going to have sex with somebody like Jay wants to have with her without her knowing? Stretch your mind now. Use your imagination. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to figure that one out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I bet you didn't have one of y'all get it. And if you did, hit me up in the comment section because I'm finna tell you. This is how Jay convinced him to do this. Check this out. He told him, he said, look, this is what we're going to do. He said, we're going to visit her at college. You're going to take me down there. You're going to introduce me as your friend. We're going to be kicking it. We're going to go out. We're going to take care of the business. We're going to have some fun. All 3 of us. You know what I'm saying? And then when you get ready to take her back to the dorm, he said, we're going to slip something in her drink. We're going to slip something in her drink. And then when you get back to the dorm and you in the room with her, you in the bed with her, she going to be almost out of it. And he said, I want you to get her ready for me. And then while you in there kissing on her, getting her ready, when she slips out, then you come out, I go in. She'll never know it was me. Think about that, y'all. This dude had to have been thinking about this. He had to have been thinking about it. So Leroy sits there for a minute. And this is how he becomes part of that depraved mindset, that depraved culture. He said, man, you think that'll work? He's thinking about himself. He ain't thinking about her. He don't care nothing about her. What he's caring about now is that money that he's making. He says he's doing it for her, but he can't be. Because right then and there, he had almost crossed the line of no return. But guess what? Eventually, after a couple of days, Jay keep working him and keep working him and keep working him and reassuring him that what they're going to put in her drink ain't going to hurt her. It's this and this. It's going to make her relax. It's going to, you know what I'm saying, have her knocked out a little bit, but she'll still be awake and all this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute. So when I'm talking to Jay, I'm like, so why would you go through with that? You know what I'm saying? You know he didn't. He said, man, because at that time, he said, man, it was all about control with me. He said, because I said, why would you even want to be with somebody that wouldn't even know that you were there? You feel what I'm saying? He said, first of all, I got to control him, and then I'm going to control her. It's a game to him. It's a game to him. So Leroy agreed. So they bumped down on this gal at the college, take her out. They having big fun. Everything is on them. She ain't got to worry about nothing. Having fun. They take her shopping, all of this and that. Then they take her out to the bar. They eat and all this and that. And then they slip something in her drink. And Leroy's the one that puts it in her drink. Then when he puts the stuff in her drink, she starts to feel way, way loose. Now she's dancing and all of this and that, and she wants to go back to her room with her boyfriend. She's feeling good, y'all. She's feeling good. So they go back to the dorm and all this and that, and she, on the way back, she's starting to be way, way more loose than she's ever been. Her inhibitions are gone. Her inhibitions are gone. She don't even know they put something in her drink. And now, when they pull up, she's just like real drowsy. Can barely keep her eyes open. Can barely keep her eyes open. So they take her up to the room, and Leroy takes her to the bed and lay her in the bed. Now, Jay, he's sitting in the corner, salivating. He told me when he was watching her, when Leroy was laying her down in the bed, he said his heart was beating so fast it almost jumped out of his chest. Now, at this point, I'm looking at him like, okay, you sick. You feel me? So here's Leroy. Leroy lays her down in the bed. He takes her shoes and socks off, and then he starts to pull her clothes off and all this and that. And he starts taking his clothes off, and he lays down with her. And they're kissing, and she's moaning and telling him that she loves him, and he's saying that he loves her. Then he starts to get her ready. You know what I mean? He takes her panties off, and then he does what he does. And when they are about to have sex, he leaves. he lets Jay take his place. Then Jay takes his place. And he does what he does. Now, here's the thing. Rose and Leroy have been together before. Now, I don't know how this works for sure, but I'm going to say it like this. A woman knows if she's with her man or not. You feel me? It's a familiarity there, you know? So, Jay's having his way. He's doing his thing, and he's laughing. But she's so out of it, it's like she's confused. What's going on? Is this my man or what? But she's getting into it. Her body's responding. And then he finishes, and he leaves. Then here comes Leroy. He gets back in the bed with her. Now, here's the part that gets to me. When I said to Jay, I said, so when he got back in the bed with her, what did he do? He said nothing. He just laid there. He just laid there, and she laid on him. So he just pretended that he had been with her. Like, yeah. And I said, how did you feel? He said, I was straight. I said, really? It's okay. So now, the next morning comes, she wakes up, she's laying there. She had been laying on Leroy, sleep. When she wakes up, she looks down at him, he's still asleep. And she kisses him and wakes him up. She said, hey, baby. Now, Jay's sleeping in the chair in the corner. They're not even supposed to be there, but, you know. She kisses Leroy, her man, and she said, hey, baby. She's kissing him and waking him up, and she's telling him how much of a good time she had last night. And she asked him, she said, what got into you last night? Now, he's spooked because he's not sure of what she's talking about. He's wondering if she knows what happened or what. But she's all excited. She said, you were different. You were different. You were more aggressive, you know. And she's like, you felt different. Now, like the little boy that he is, or was, he said, what do you mean by that? He's starting to get upset. He's starting to get upset that his girl, that's unaware that she had sex with another man, enjoyed the sex with another man that she had no idea she had sex with. He's acting like a little boy. So he gets up, puts on his clothes. She's all shocked, like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What did I do? What did I say? He said nothing. He said, I got to go. She said, you got to go? You're not going to take me to breakfast? You're not going to be here? And he was like, no, I got to go. And he woke Jay up and said, let's go, man. But Jay wasn't asleep. Jay had woke up to hear the whole conversation. He was just pretending to be asleep. He was getting off on that they were arguing. He knew he had him then. He knew he had him. So they leave and go downstairs, and they get in the car, and they head back to the town, right? You know what I'm saying? Take care of the business, get back on the block or whatever, right? And the whole way back, Jay's telling him how good she was. All of that. Leroy's getting mad. But he locks back in to distract himself. He said, look here, man, let me get 2 ounces. He said, I got you. I got you. My guy. I got you. Man, you my partner. Blah, blah, blah. But he was sticking him, poking him. He know Leroy mad. So he poking him. He's further and further pushing him down, dehumanizing him, making him feel like crap. He was getting off on that, y'all. That's why he sold dope. He wasn't selling dope for the money. What was happening in that car ride back, what happened that night before in that dorm room, that's why he was selling dope. He got off on that. Leroy was outmanned. He didn't understand. So they get back. Jay give him what he wants. He goes on about his business. The whole time, Jay's reliving what he just did that night. and the ride back, the conversation. He's reliving it. He's enjoying. He's laughing. He's laughing. And this goes on for several months. Anytime he wanted to do anything with Rose, they would go to the dorm. Leroy hadn't actually been with Rose for months. It was always Jay. She had gotten used to him being with her, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. But guess what? It come to a head. Because see, Leroy saving his money, grinding, building, and he's tired of it. He thinks he's nurtured those type of relationships in the streets where he can break free and go do his own thing. So he confronts Jay. And tells Jay, it's over with. I get my stuff from somebody else. He had already set it up. You know what I'm saying? So he was going to be straight. But see, somebody like Jay that was seasoned way beyond what Leroy was, told him, he said, look, you can do what you want to do. He said, but how you think Rose going to feel when she find out I've been the one sleeping with her and you been drugging her so I could, right? He said, she ain't going to never find out because you ain't going to tell her and I ain't going to tell her. He threatened him. He said, no. He said, look, I could send her these. See, what he didn't understand, you know, back in the day, they had them Polaroid cameras, y'all. You understand? So whenever, you know, like I said, he been doing this for months. So some of the time when he was down there and they go down there and he would be with Rose, Leroy can't take it. He leaves the room. So in those situations, guess what Jay was doing? He's snapping pictures of him and Rose. He's snapping pictures of her laying there. He got proof. Got proof of what's been going on, right? The arrogance. Think of that, the arrogance of this dude. So now Leroy's panicking. He locked in. This is what Jay is about, control and manipulation. This is what some people that are involved in the streets are about, y'all. Control and manipulation on a level that you don't even understand. You think you understand. You think because you see a dope boy and he got money and cars and all of these things, you think you know them. You don't know them. You got to go on another level to be that type of dude. To be that type of dude that Jay was. So now Leroy's faced with a situation. Do I come clean and tell her what happened and why? Or do I continue to play along with this fool? That's the choice he had to make. It's the choice he had to make. And guess what? He made a choice. He made a choice. But it was a forced choice. And I'm going to let you know what that choice was when you come back for the next episode, right? But again, y'all share these episodes with your friends on your social media. Let them know, you know what I'm saying, that you're not going to get any stories like this anywhere else other than on Doing Time with Joe. Let them know I'm still locked up. Tell them my story, y'all. Y'all my family. Share my story with them. Let them know. Come on and support me. I appreciate all of y'all. I really do. I really do. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.